Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers' George Pickens makes eye-opening admission about role in Arthur Smith's system. The Pittsburgh Steelers arguably got better in terms of the offensive side of the floor. Mike Tomlin is getting a shot with a veteran in Russell Wilson while also having Justin Fields as an elite rushing quarterback. But, these signal callers are only going to be successful if their weapons run routes the right way and catch passes at a high level. Arthur Smith will be taking over in dealing with those schemes, and a key person they want to develop is George Pickens. The success that George Pickens had with the Georgia Bulldogs is not quite the same as his Steelers stint. But, he has shown a lot of promise and even all-pro potential. Just last season, Mike Tomlin's squad helped him lead the league in receiving yards per reception. His acumen for catching deep balls is very high, and it was evident when his averages clocked in at 18.3 per successful target. But, this was clearly not enough. The Steelers want him to be more active in their different schemes. This is where Arthur Smith comes in. The new Steelers offensive coordinator plans to involve George Pickens in more actions, whether it is Russell Wilson or Justin Fields throwing. A result of this is that the young wide receiver will see more action in the slot, via Chris Ward of Steelers Now. Yeah. Not more than I ever have. I did at Georgia. But more than I have in this league. I'm a total receiver. I like working in the slot just as much as I like working as an outside receiver. It puts me on linebackers, put me on safeties, George Pickens said about this new directive by Arthur Smith. The game becomes more physical for the Steelers' weapon. But, that comes with the tag of being their WR1. He has already shown his capability of running those types of routes with the Bulldogs. Now, it might just be time for him to showcase that elite ability to net Mike Tomlin's squad a deeper postseason push come winter of next year. Well, it means that his routes will become shorter over time. Those yards per catch averages might go down, but his involvement in checkdowns will become larger. Last year, he churned out 63 receptions for the Steelers. That number is likely going higher because he will be the default go-to for their signal callers. This is also not the first time that Mike Tomlin will see Pickens in the slot. The Steelers saw him receive 7 balls from the slot last season. This netted them 24 yards per catch, which surely got their offense going in terms of getting downs. A lot of pressure is riding on his back. This big but welcome change is also going to affect his style of play in the coming years. But, it is a great show of versatility if he succeeds as a slot receiver. Only time will tell if this is the move that gets the Steelers back into title contention and pushes Pickens to be an all-pro receiver. Steelers HC Mike Tomlin gets 100% clear about Arthur Smith's role. The Pittsburgh Steelers underwent significant changes during the 2024 offseason, not only revamping their roster but also making strategic adjustments to their coaching staff. Head coach Mike Tomlin secured a 3-year extension, while the team introduced several new additions prior to that. The most prominent hire was former Atlanta Falcons head coach Arthur Smith. Smith, the new offensive coordinator, following the interim efforts of Mike Sullivan and Eddie Faulkner, who stepped in after Matt Canada's dismissal in 2023. Tomlin, speaking to the media after the latest minicamp session, was asked about his interest in working with Smith. He pointed out his familiarity with Smith's work as a key factor. "I've competed against him over the years, Atlanta, Tennessee. We had a lot of mutual connects from his time in Washington," Tomlin said via Troy Montgomery of Steelers Depot. "I know what he puts into the job, professionally speaking, and he has quality tape. I've competed against him in stadium, so not a lot of unknowns regarding his capabilities," the Steelers head coach continued. Tomlin's familiarity with Smith's offensive schemes allowed him to assess its strengths and weaknesses. He believed Smith could leverage the Steelers' offensive talents effectively. However, with significant changes to the quarterback lineup and offensive line, Tomlin's confidence in Smith's fit with the team grew even stronger, seeing these moves as complementary to Smith's coaching style. Since Todd Haley's departure and even during his tenure, the Steelers have faced challenges in maintaining a consistent offensive coordinator. The team's offensive performance has declined over time, making even basic plays appear challenging. Arthur Smith's success as an offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans offers hope that he can reverse the Steelers' offensive woes. Despite a less successful stint as head coach with the Atlanta Falcons, Smith's NFL experience played a significant role in his hiring with the Steelers. It's understandable that Tomlin sought a more established figure for the offensive coordinator role. Given the significant changes the team has undergone this offseason, a less experienced coach might have faced greater challenges in adapting to the evolving dynamics. The Steelers had familiarity with Smith, having faced his Titans in 2020 and his Falcons in 2022. Although the Steelers won both games, they were hard-fought victories, with Pittsburgh narrowly edging out their opponents by just 3 points each time. When asked if Arthur Smith would need to adjust his personality after his 3-season stint as head coach of the Falcons, Tomlin responded via Parker Abate of Steeler Nation, "I think different roles require different hats and I don't think that's a big deal. That's just a component of assistants make suggestions, head coaches make decisions." The future looks exciting for Tomlin, Smith, and Pittsburgh. While the acquisitions of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields may strengthen their prospects, uncertainties still loom large. The true verdict on the Steelers' performance won't be apparent until they hit the field for an actual game. Yet, Arthur Smith's football style, emphasizing effective running, aligns seamlessly with the Steelers' long-desired offensive identity. This alignment hints at a promising synergy and a cohesive team dynamic. Steelers' chances at Courtland Sutton growing. The Pittsburgh Steelers are still in the market for another wide receiver. Even as players like Calvin Austin III impress in minicamp, the team can't stand pat with the current receiver room. Once minicamp ends and training camp begins, there is an upcoming break, and many expect the Steelers to make some sort of move during that time off. One of the players the Steelers have been consistently linked to is Courtland Sutton. The 28-year-old receiver is one of the biggest names mentioned in the trade conversations. He had another solid season in 2023 and is coming off of his 5th 700-plus-yard season. He also hauled in 10 touchdowns and found success playing alongside current Steelers QB Russell Wilson. Sutton is entering the final season of his current deal with the Denver Broncos. Fortunately for the Steelers, the negotiations are tenuous at best. The two sides don't appear to be making solid ground, and many pundits believe the Broncos will opt to trade Sutton. On Sutton's side, he continues to express his desire to get a deal done. Speaking to Denver media following the start of their minicamp, Sutton made it clear that the contract talks are still ongoing but haven't made much progress. "Obviously, I'm here. I wanted to make sure it was known that, yeah, I was upset about how the contract went about, how the conversation went about, how the stalemate has persisted. But I also wanted it to be known that I love ball," Sutton said. Sutton's presence at minicamp was in question before he showed up. He skipped the team's optional OTAs as the two sides were far off on a deal and trade rumblings grew. He admitted that he considered holding out of the mandatory sessions as well while the contract negotiations continued. "My team and I had conversations about it, missing minicamp. Missing OTAs wasn't easy for me. I love ball. I love this game. I love the camaraderie it brings with my teammates," Sutton said. And as the situation continues and the relationship between Sutton and the Broncos breaks down further, the possibility of the Steelers acquiring him grows. They have the cap space to do so, and the fit makes total sense. Aside from an injury-filled 2020, he's played at least 15 games. Adding his guaranteed production and veteran presence would go a long way for the Steelers' offense. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Courtland Sutton? Leave your opinion in the comments.